Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Matt and I like video games. And in today's video I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review of The Last of Us Part 2. So stay tuned. Okay, so two things before I even get started. This is a 100% spoiler-free review. I will not be going into any detail on story developments or anything of that nature. And also, I want to take time to acknowledge that the gameplay that you see in this video is not indicative of how the game actually looks. All of the gameplay you will see in this video is pulled right from my PS4 Pro's game DVR. And the game DVR on PS4 leaves a lot to be desired. The game ran near flawless at 1440p 30fps. However, you will be seeing gameplay that is captured at 1080p 30fps with a very subpar bitrate. And for this, I apologize in advance. One of these days I'll get a solid 4K capture card so I don't have to rely on the DVR as much. My reason for saying all this is that I want to open the video with my favorite screenshots from my time playing The Last of Us Part 2. And all of these screenshots were captured at full 4K resolution. I simply want to show off how the game actually looks at full fidelity without all the limitations of a horrible bitrate. Just like the rest of the video, all of these screenshots will be spoiler free, and once the screenshots are done, then the gameplay clips will begin. And with all that being said, please enjoy the rest of my review. So a few weeks ago, maybe even a month ago at this point, I made a video discussing why I don't cover much PlayStation news or make much PlayStation content. I'll link that video in the description because quite honestly, I want this video to be relatively quick and I don't have time to go through all the reasons that I covered in that video. However, in the video I stated that The Last of Us 2 was coming up soon and that I may review it. Well, the time is here. The Last of Us Part 2 is here and I am fresh off of finishing the story within the past few hours. I have been looking forward to this game ever since I saw the reveal trailer way back at PSX 2016. And I had my theories on how the story would play out just based on that first reveal trailer. That being said, I managed to maintain my hype for all those years, and I also managed to avoid the leaks that came up during these past few months. So outside of my own theories and preconceptions, I went into this game completely blind. And the first thing I want to touch on is that Naughty Dog are masters of creating worlds with rich and detailed environments. And in that regard, this game is no stretch from what they've managed to do before. The only difference with this game is that they seem to be doing it even bigger and better than they ever were before. I experienced 0 bugs during my 27 hours of playing this campaign. There was a moment where I thought something was a bug, but it turned out that it wasn't. Without giving too much away, there was a part in the game where you need to get on a horse, but there's a dead body hanging off the horse by its foot, and it looks like it's glitching, but when you go to hop on the horse, your character removes the foot from the saddle and hops on. It was wild because it was towards the end of the game and I thought, wow, I made it this far in and I'm seeing my first bug. That's pretty impressive. And lo and behold, it wasn't a bug at all. I mean, the polish on this game is just out of this world. Everything from the smoothness of the game to the fluidity of the combat and animations. Speaking of which, the team that animated this deserves a plaque in their honor. I don't know anything about animation, but I do know that this is the second best feeling third-person game that I have ever played. And it's only second to Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, the movement was so fluid and perfectly animated, yet I never felt like I got caught in an animation I didn't want to be in. But that's enough of the animation talk. There are definitely some fun parts and elements to this game. For example, I love the exploring aspect. Finding materials and collectibles and crafting items and tinkering with weapons, I love that stuff. I also loved the combat. It felt incredibly visceral. You feel powerful, but at the same time you feel vulnerable. And I think that's probably a very difficult thing to balance when designing a game like this. But despite these fun elements, I'd be lying if I said this game was fun in any traditional sense. And I don't say that as a negative thing. I mean, if you played the first one, then you already know what you're getting yourself into. This is a perfectly crafted world that at the same time is every bit as bleak as it is detailed. This game is tedious and intense. I think this is once again a credit to their game design. I remember the first Last of Us and how it was sort of made to be played as a stealth game, but I didn't really play it as a stealth game. but the way this game feels made me want to play more calm and subdued and think about my actions before I acted. It feels like every choice you make during combat has a direct consequence to how that interaction will play out, much more so than it did in the first game. The more I played the game, the more I realized I wasn't firing my gun as much, and I think that's because I started to feel like the gun was the last resort. It felt like there were too many things that could go wrong as a direct result of firing your gun. And I really honestly enjoyed that because it feels like something that you could get multiple playthroughs out of just by having different engagements with the enemies. And on to the final part of my review, which is the story itself. There's so much I want to say about this story, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone. All I will say is that it is a very wonderfully told story. There were some choices in the story direction that I wasn't exactly thrilled with, but time and time again throughout my playthrough, the story managed to keep me very well engaged, and I was consistently on the edge of my seat trying to guess what comes next, and sometimes I was right, but more often than not, I was wrong. This game's story is relentlessly and punishingly brutal from start to finish, but the experience is definitely worth it in my opinion. Now, I don't want to give this game a rating based on 1 to 10, but I can 100% say that I recommend this game to anyone who loved the first one. But with all that being said, what do you guys think? Have you played it? What are your thoughts on the game overall? Leave your comments below, and remember to try to keep it spoiler free. Leave a like if you liked the video, and please subscribe if you would be so kind. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.